Today is, no, it's Halloween weekend. I recorded like 20 minutes worth of footage and it had no sound. So, but yeah, it's Halloween and I'm Betty Boop. I had to use black lipstick for my brows, and I had to go to the store and buy red lipstick. But today I'm going to be talking about, okay, so I made a list of things over the course of this entire month and probably the month before, and I'm just gonna be going over this list, and it's kind of like a recap of the month. None of this is relevant, and you shouldn't take anything that I say serious. Okay, what else did I have to say? But yeah, I'm Betty Boop. Wait. And yeah. Okay, the first sentence I wrote down is being alone in your room. Actually, I can't remember what I meant by this sentence. Being alone in your room. Oh my god. Being alone in your room. I think I was just trying to say that, like, being alone in your room is good. I wrote down being alone in your room is sexy, but I don't know what I meant by that. But this was because the only person that I talked to at my school asked me to hang out, and I wanted to be alone in my room, and so I wrote down that it's sexy to be alone in your room. The next thing that I wrote down is thinking someone will be nice to you back. And I wrote this down not in an incel way. It's just that, like, you know, when you're black and you talk to somebody else black and you expect them to be nice to you back, and they're not. So that's what I meant. I'm not incel about people catching an attitude with me, and I don't expect people to. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I don't expect people to not, like. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But, like, I don't know, like. And actually, the thing that I wrote down is, oh my god, I'm really not trying to be an incel. But I don't mean this, like, really seriously. I just mean, like, thinking someone will be nice to you back, like, especially if y'all are, like, in the same minority group or something. I don't know. But I wrote down, but that's just not true. And it's actually not a big deal. But I wrote down thinking a girl will be nice to you back. And I'm really not, like, a cunt about niggas, people catching an attitude with me, but, like, I don't even know what I meant by this. It's just, like, I don't even know, because, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you're not forcing people to be nice to you back. But I'm just saying, like, I just don't expect the attitude. But yeah. But that only happens at my school, because my school is racist. The next thing I wrote down is no one can make you like them. I mean this in the way of, like, if you already don't mess with somebody, or someone already doesn't mess with you, if you put in a type of effort, effort doesn't make people, effort doesn't change anything about, do you know what I'm trying to say? Obviously, and that's obvious. Obviously, like you know how when you're in a friend group with somebody and two people don't like each other in the friend group, but like nothing that either of them can do will make the other person like them, obviously. Okay. The next thing I wrote down is don't date friends, which is just obvious. The next thing I wrote down is I don't want to hang out. I don't know what I meant by this, but this just ties back to my first comment, because I don't want to hang out. The next thing I wrote down is when you're a kid and you're playing outside, then other kids play outside with you, and then you go home. What I meant by this is basically when you're a kid. Okay, so basically before I wrote this down, I had a dream where I was playing, when I was a kid, I was playing outside in the front yard, and then other kids, and then we all started playing outside, and then they just left. So anyways, I was reflecting on how when you're a kid and you start playing outside with other kids, and then you get their name and everything, and you learn their whole life story, and you act like you're gonna be friends forever, and then they leave and you never see them again. So yeah, so I think that's A+ networking. The next thing I wrote down is end up hating people eventually, because that's true. I do end up hating people eventually, which may not run for the rest of the course of my life, because everything in my past is really just high school, so none of this is serious. The next thing I wrote down is asking people their pronouns is super weird. Here's why I think that is weird. I think it's weird to ask people their pronouns. But yeah, usually the person that's asking you for your pronouns is someone that you won't even talk to in your future ever. So it's just like, I just don't even get why you're asking. The only reason where it's valid to ask somebody their pronouns is when we're going around the room and everybody's sharing their pronouns. But I don't get, also, another thing, nobody asks, this may be false, but I feel like nobody asks gay guys their pronouns. And people assume them to be cis, but everybody like is like flipping out, dying, trying to, anyways, so they're just dying to ask people that they perceive to be women their pronouns for no reason. Like, and half the time, like you don't even be liking niggas enough for them to ask you that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, shut up talking to me. So yeah. Also, just like dying to like find women to be like trying to find the androgyny in people and trying to ask them questions that are irrelevant. I feel like it is more relevant to ask somebody their whole birth chart before you ask them their pronouns. unless we're all going around the room. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I'm not trying to talk to you in the future, so I don't even know why you're asking that. Do you know what I mean? Or you could say your pronouns, but don't ask the other person, just say yours. I don't know. The next thing I wrote down is that I hate gender studies because I'm taking a gender studies class, and I just feel like, no, I don't hate this study of it, but when I'm in the class, they're just saying obvious stuff, so I don't want to take it. But obviously it's not obvious to other people, it's not obvious to everyone. So yeah, the next thing I wrote down is that I can't with other girls, which is true. I can't with other girls. Next thing I wrote down is that no one here has seen anybody black, which is true. No one at my college has seen anybody black. And the only reason why they're not open about how they're racist is because it's frowned upon now. But like, you might as well just like be open about it. I just don't even understand. The next thing I wrote down is because I saw a Kanye West video of him talking about how we're all in a simulation, which, like, that's okay if he thinks that, and that could be valid. But the thing that I wrote down, okay, the sentence that I wrote down is Kanye talking about simulations when in reality he just hangs around too many people white. By this I mean, actually I don't have to explain that. But yeah, the next thing I wrote down is but to explain the Kanye thing, he was basically saying that like everybody's an actor and none of this is real. And I just kind of feel like he just hangs out with so many people white that is like, of course you don't think you're real, they don't think you're real. So yeah. And also back to the thing about nobody in my college has ever seen anybody black. That's just true. But at the same time, they're like imitating people black. So it's just like, if you picked one struggle, do you know what I mean? The next thing I wrote down is, the next sentence I wrote down is assuming gender. I don't like the gender police. No offense, but it's just like, they're like, oh, I don't want to assume that person's gender because I don't know. And it's just like, why are you acting like you don't assume people's gender all the time? We live in a society. Stop acting like you don't always do that. There's no point in your life where you didn't assume somebody's gender. But they want to act brand new, talking about some, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't know their gender because I just don't want to assume. Like, shut up. Yeah. Because you already, but yeah. But you can disagree with me on that. I really don't care. But there's just no point in anyone's life where they didn't assume people's gender. And most people only say that to, again, people that they perceive to be women. So it's just like, why are you always trying to act like people are like so androgynous? I don't even know, like. Okay, the next thing I wrote down is AMAB and AFAB. That's a sentence that I wrote. I just wrote down AMAB and AFAB. I think these words are overused because this is why I think it's overused. Usually, unless you just want to address how that person is treated in society, mostly you're just like, why are you using the medical word for everything? Do you know what I mean or no? Like, I hate it when people use the most professional word for everything. When they call kids minors. Like, what is that? What is that emoji? That's that nerd emoji. Like, you are a nerd. And everybody that uses AMAB and AFAB all the time, they're just like trying to like put some, I feel like it's putting the person that's like not in the binary back into the binary to address them again. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, if somebody's not in the binary and you're trying to like address them like a different type of way, it's just crazy. Like, what are you even talking about? I feel like you can call yourself AMAB or AFAB, but you can't call somebody else that because you don't even really, I don't even know. And unless you're addressing how they're treated in society, I just feel like it's just because obviously maybe AFABs are marginalized, but yeah, I just don't even understand like the use of those two words sometimes. Like, you are such a nerd. Honestly, I'm gonna skip some of this stuff because I just need time to address it later. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is people that raise their voice. The next sentence that I wrote down is people that raise their voice an octave when talking to a man. So yeah, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm just thinking about the fact that like that's something that my mom would do, because I was thinking about like how, you know, you have to introduce your parents to your significant other. That's something that my mom would do. But anyways, I just don't get the reason for why you would ever raise your voice an octave when you're talking to somebody. Because I just don't even get what it means.